Before life ever existed, Earth was a silent world shaped only by fire, stone, water, and time. The planet formed around 4.5 billion years ago as dust and rock gathered under gravity, creating a surface dominated by volcanoes, molten lava, toxic gases, and endless storms. There were no plants, no animals, no oxygen-rich air, and no color beyond dark rock and glowing magma. The atmosphere was thick with carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, and sulfur, making survival impossible for complex beings. Oceans began forming as the surface cooled, but these waters were hostile and lifeless. From a belief perspective, this stage reflects a deliberate preparation phase, an uninhabitable world being shaped step by step. Science calls it chaos driven by physics, while belief sees order emerging under intention. Earth at this time was not empty by accident, but unfinished by design, awaiting a moment when life could begin under precise conditions that would not fail. As the planet cooled further, rain fell for thousands of years, filling the basins of Earth and creating the first true oceans. These waters became chemical laboratories where minerals, heat, and energy interacted constantly. Lightning strikes, volcanic heat, and ultraviolet radiation fueled reactions that produced basic organic molecules. Science explains that amino acids, lipids, and simple sugars formed naturally under these conditions. Belief systems interpret this not as randomness, but as guided processes set in motion by a higher intelligence. The balance was exact. Too much heat and molecules would break, too little and reactions would stop. Earth was still lifeless, yet it held the ingredients required for life. This stage represents potential without presence. Nothing lived, yet everything necessary existed. The planet was being prepared quietly, patiently, as if waiting for a signal. What appears to be coincidence in science can also be understood as precision in creation, where timing and balance were never accidental. Over millions of years, complex chemical structures began forming within Earth's oceans. These structures learned to self-organize, replicate imperfectly, and interact with their surroundings. This marked the boundary between non-life and life, though even science admits this line is still mysterious. The first life forms were microscopic, single-celled organisms that did not need oxygen. They survived in extreme environments, feeding on chemicals rather than sunlight. From a belief perspective, this moment represents the breath of life entering matter, when lifeless elements crossed into living existence by the will of the Creator. Earth was no longer silent. Though invisible to the eye, life had begun its slow transformation of the planet. This life was simple, fragile, and small, yet it carried within it the future of forests, oceans, animals, and humans. The beginning was humble, reminding us that creation often starts quietly, not dramatically, but with purpose embedded deeply within simplicity. For billions of years, Earth was ruled entirely by microorganisms. There were no plants, no animals, and no green landscapes. These early life forms lived in oceans and underground, shaping the planet in ways unseen. Some of them began using sunlight to produce energy through a process now known as photosynthesis. This was revolutionary. These organisms released oxygen as a waste product, slowly changing Earth's atmosphere. Initially, oxygen was toxic to existing life, causing mass extinctions. Yet this destruction made way for transformation. Belief perspectives see this as renewal through removal, a recurring pattern in creation. The sky slowly shifted from poisonous haze to breathable air. Oceans changed chemistry. Rocks oxidized. Earth itself responded to life. This stage shows that life does not merely exist on a planet, it reshapes it. What began as invisible microbes became architects of the world, proving that even the smallest creations can alter the destiny of an entire planet. As oxygen accumulated, Earth underwent its greatest transformation. The atmosphere became clearer, temperatures stabilized, and a protective ozone layer formed. This shield allowed life to survive on the surface without being destroyed by radiation. Now the planet was ready for more complex organisms. From belief, this reflects intentional preparation, layers of protection added before advanced life appeared. Science describes it as natural consequence, yet cannot explain why conditions aligned so precisely. Earth before oxygen was hostile and unstable. Earth after oxygen became welcoming and balanced. The planet shifted from survival to sustainability. This transformation took millions of years, showing that creation operates beyond human impatience. Nothing was rushed. Every stage completed its role before the next began. Life and environment evolved together, intertwined. Earth was no longer just a rock in space. It became a system capable of supporting complexity, beauty, and awareness. Only after oxygen reshaped the world did plant-like life begin to appear in more recognizable forms. Early algae and simple plants spread across oceans and later onto land. These organisms captured sunlight and produced energy on a massive scale. Plants changed everything. They stabilized soil, regulated climate, and formed the base of all food chains. From belief, plants are described as gifts, providers without movement, sustainers without voice. Science confirms that without plants, complex life could not exist. Earth before plants was barren and unstable. Earth after plants became green, balanced, and alive. Forests cooled the planet. Roots held land together. Oxygen levels rose further. Plants were not merely life forms. They were engineers of habitability. Their arrival marks a turning point where Earth shifted from microbial dominance to visible life. What once looked dead from space began to show signs of vitality, color, and purpose. As plant life expanded, Earth's surface transformed dramatically. Continents that were once bare rock became covered with green growth. Weather patterns stabilized. Carbon dioxide levels dropped, preventing runaway heating. This balance allowed animals to eventually emerge. From belief, plants represent mercy, silent workers maintaining life without demand. Science shows that plants are the foundation of ecosystems. Without them, Earth would collapse into lifeless chemistry once again. The planet before plants was unstable and extreme. The planet after plants became regulated and resilient. This shift demonstrates that life exists in interdependence. No organism stands alone. Each relies on another. This reflects a deeper order in existence, one that suggests intention behind connection. Earth did not become habitable by chance alone, but through layered systems working together in harmony over immense time. The arrival of plants also changed Earth's relationship with time. Seasons became meaningful. Growth and decay formed cycles. Life learned rhythm. From belief, cycles represent wisdom, teaching patience, renewal, and balance. Science explains cycles through axial tilt and orbital mechanics, yet cannot explain why life adapted so perfectly to them. Plants synchronized with sunlight, rain, and temperature. This harmony allowed ecosystems to flourish. Earth before life was static. Earth with life became dynamic. Change itself became a feature, not a flaw. Through plants, Earth learned to breathe. Through cycles, life learned endurance. The planet was no longer just surviving, it was thriving. This stage shows that life is not merely biological, but deeply integrated with the physical universe. The boundaries between matter and meaning began to blur. As ecosystems grew complex, animals emerged to consume plants and each other. Life diversified rapidly. Oceans filled with creatures. Land became populated. From belief, this explosion of life reflects abundance following preparation. Nothing appeared before its support system existed. Science calls it evolutionary radiation, yet the order remains striking. Earth did not produce predators before producers. Balance preceded complexity. The world before life lacked direction. The world after life followed structure. Plants stood at the center of this transformation. Without them, the story would end. This reinforces the idea that the first visible life was not random, but foundational. Earth's history teaches that existence builds layer upon layer, each supporting the next. This pattern aligns with belief in deliberate creation and scientific observation of gradual development. Even today, Earth remains shaped by the legacy of its earliest life. The air we breathe, the soil beneath us, and the food we eat all trace back to the first living organisms. Plants remain central to planetary stability. From belief, humanity is described as a caretaker, not an owner. Science confirms that disrupting plant systems destabilizes Earth. The planet remembers its origins. Remove plants, and Earth begins returning to its lifeless state. This connection reminds us that life is fragile, interconnected, and sustained through balance. Earth before life was indifferent. Earth with life became responsive. Actions now have consequences. Responsibility emerged alongside awareness. Looking back, what existed before life was not emptiness, but preparation. Fire shaped land. Water carved basins. Chemistry laid foundations. Time refined conditions. From belief, this reflects intention working through process. From science, it reflects natural laws operating consistently. Both perspectives meet at one point. Life required precise balance. Earth was not rushed into existence. It was shaped patiently. The silence before life was not meaningless. It was necessary. The absence prepared the presence. This understanding deepens respect for existence itself. The first plant did more than grow, it changed destiny. It turned light into sustenance. It transformed poison into breath. Earth after plants became a living system rather than a lifeless sphere. From belief, plants symbolize provision. From science, they represent energy conversion. Two explanations, one reality. The world we know stands on their quiet labor. Without roots, nothing stands. Without leaves, nothing breathes. The first plant was not just life, it was a promise fulfilled. In the end, asking what existed before life leads to a deeper question: why life exists at all. Science explains the how, belief explores the why. Earth's history shows preparation, balance, and order. Whether seen as guided or emergent, the result is undeniable. Life began when Earth was ready. The planet was not accidental. It was prepared, and the first living thing marked the moment Earth stopped being just a place and became a home.